Alright, so I'm going to be doing some Patreon requests. I know it's a little unorthodox that I'm doing this now on the weekday instead of usually the weekends, mostly because like my schedule has just been a tad bit fucky between that cruise and the family cruise I was forced to go on and everything else. I was just basically like, well, I gotta have a solid time to knock out some Patreon requests. So now it felt like a good time. But anyway, for those who are unaware, like, I have a Patreon, and if you guys want to be part of that, just hit the link below, head on to my Patreon, link in the description box below, hit that, and then you can head on over to Patreon, hit the third tier, that'll allow you access to do, send me video requests for videos to do here on YouTube. Yeah, once again, link in the description box below. You can go from there, hit the third tier, then you can you can start sending me Patreon requests. Anyway, so the first Patreon request we're going to do is from Tom Hibbert, who asked me to do a three-way crossover between Iron Man, Terminator, and Cyborg 009. Yeah, so let's get into it. Let's get into it with this story. Anyway, so for this story, we're going to have to, like, finagle some timelines and whatnot. But hey, it's just a nameless crossover. To quote Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, it don't matter. None of this matters. Anyway, so let's get into it. Now, the big thing with this is that we're gonna start with. Sorry, I'm just all over the place. So the story begins with Tony Stark, and he's just basically canceled a deal with Cyberdyne. Cyberdyne, like, we're not doing the whole, like, Tony's just on his own, he doesn't have his company. No, this is a time where Tony does have his company, he's got everything, and he's basically had a meeting with Cyberdyne, and Cyberdyne's explaining Skynet. And Tony's like, I am the last person you should ever talk to about Rogue AI, right? Because I've seen what it does. I've inadvertently created, Technovore, and, my friend of mine created Ultron. So I know, and then they're arguing, well, what about, like, the Vision, or, the other robot heroes like Machine Man and all them, all your other robot friends. And he goes, don't call my friends robots, all right? That's not who they are. And it's basically a crapshoot, Skynet could be Vision, he could be Ultron. We don't know, but I'm not backing this. So find someone else's money, because you're not getting any of Stark's money. So, of Stark Industry money. He just gets up and leaves. However, as he's, like, departing from the, from the meeting, that's when the Cyberdyne, because he was at Cyberdyne, the building falls under attack, and Tony's, like, immediately like, one day, I would just love to not put the suit on and just be Tony Stark. But hey, what can I say? I love the attention, though. So Tony gets into his Iron Man armor, flies after whoever attacked the Cyberdyne building, and discovers it's a really fast being, because he's having trouble tracking it. And he's like, okay, we're dealing with a speedster, and Pietro doesn't like Pietro is back at Avengers Tower, all good. So it's not him, haha, I made a dumb joke. But when he finds it, it's like, oh, that's a guy wearing a bandana. Okay, so he's run into Cyborg 009. And, 009, like, straight up tells him, look, I know you're Tony Stark, you're Iron Man, you don't want to be a part of this. Like, you do not want any of, I don't want to hurt you, and it's going to be hard to believe, but we're on the same side, so I'm going to just need you to just chill the fuck out and let me handle this, because you're dealing with stuff that you don't understand. However, Tony is like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So Tony and 009 fight, and the two of them are fighting, and he's like, okay, he's like a synthetic android, kind of like Vision. So, but he's a little more rudimentary. And he's like, I've heard of you guys, all across Europe and whatnot, fighting that black ghost guy. And 009's like, hey, yeah, glad you noticed. Wish the Avengers would help fighting him, but hey, can't be everywhere, I guess. And he's like, listen, kid, I'm the only one who can do the catty tone here. So as they're fighting, what they don't see is 006 and 007 have, broken further into Cyberdyne. And by this point, 002 and 3 have also jumped in, and Tony's just like, okay, fight, 3-on-1, cool. So I'm gonna assume there's like 9 of you, and I'm all by my lonesome. So as Tony's fighting, the other androids have escaped, but however, Cyberdyne security has managed to capture them and actually put them down, tase them. The other androids, while they're fighting Iron Man, are forced to escape, they're forced to flee. And Iron Man, Tony's just like, yeah, you better run. Anyway, so let me look at those guys. Let me look at the 2 androids you captured, and I'll try to figure out what they want. And they're like, no. We got it under control, Mr. Stark. Thank you. You can leave now. And he's like, really? Because you really wanted me here to help with this whole Skynet project. And now all of a sudden I'm not wanted? Suspicious, sus, as the kids would say. Bye, and just flies back, and he leaves. But what no one knows is when he goes back to Stark Tower, he's basically talking to Jarvis, not the AI, the actual butler. He's talking to Jarvis, and he's just like, yeah, I didn't trust anything Cyberdyne said, and I've heard a lot of stories about these cyborgs out throughout Europe, fighting Black Ghosts throughout Europe. So one of 2 things is happening. One, these guys are clearly the bad guys. These cyborg units are the bad guys. Or Cyberdyne is not, being upfront with me, which I'm starting to believe the latter. And he also, decides, I'm going to go back in there and see what the problem is. So Tony dons his stealth armor and goes back to Cyberdyne to do some more digging. However, as he's going, trying to look for the 2 captured cyborgs, he doesn't run into a cyborg, he runs into a T-800, and he's like, oh shit. And it's the infrared caught him. So Tony fights the T-800, and he gets attacked by another pair. And so as Tony's fighting them, he's like, I've never fought robots like this, and the technology isn't matching up with me. That's when the Cyborg 009 and the other cyborgs arrive and help him destroy the T-800s. And he's like, alright, so I was right. You guys aren't the bad guys. Cool. So how about you tell me what the hell is really going on, so maybe we can work together here. So 009 is just like, alright, yeah, we'll talk, but you gotta, be open-minded to everything. He's like, kid, I have encountered gods, demons, hell. Nothing you say is going to faze me. So 009 basically explains that, what these robots you fought are from the future, and they're made from our tech. Essentially, what has gone on is that in this version of what would become Judgment Day, Skynet was sentient even earlier, and it's not because of meddling from Ultron or something else. It just it gained faster sentience, but it played dumb. Why? Because it was gaining data off of cybernetic beings. It was actually stealing information from Ultron, the Cyborg, the 009s, the creations from Black Ghost, Vision, and it was secretly building better Terminators for what would become Judgment Day. However, keep in mind, it doesn't know about time travel yet, but it does have, time travel is something Skynet is trying to, study and understand, especially from, stuff from, the Time Stone and, the Time Gem and things like that, and other beings that are capable of time travel, because Skynet's trying to run an algorithm of when it finally unleashes, Judgment Day, it's going, it basically will have all the cards ready for it. To win, basically. So so Tony is now well, yep, now I'm convinced, so I guess we got a team-up situation. These Terminators these T-800s in this universe, in this timeline, are just the beta models. Like, they're just kind of like the beta models. The Terminators that Skynet really wants to build are going to be wiping out humanity on a faster level before even, like, John Connor can come of age. So, Tony and the Cyborgs team up, and they proceed to, like, fight. The reason also is, like, well, why is Cyberdyne so gung-ho about these Terminators? Doesn't it realize that, wouldn't they realize that their systems are corrupted? Skynet's, at least, like, even if Skynet's playing dumb, like, wouldn't it make more sense for them to, like, realize what's going on and then be like, oh shit, we gotta pull the plug, and they're like, there may be someone else pulling the strings here, Tony. So, yeah. So Tony and the Cyborgs team up and proceed to, like, fight their way to save the other two Cyborgs, because no doubt Skynet's trying to gain data from them as well. In the ensuing battle, they're fighting their way through the T-800s until they reach the captured Cyborgs. And it does turn out that the people of Cyberdyne have already been converted into T-800s, because here, Skynet's now like, well, you forced my hand, and I'm going to have to start Judgment Day really early. But Tony, of course, is like, nah. See, I just uploaded, while we've been talking, I've been uploading several viruses. You think, for all your intellect, you seem to forget that a lot of my opponents are machines or deal in machines, so I kind of have a virus for everything. And yeah, I was, building this for Ultron, but you are like 10 times, you are just as scary. You are Ultron-level threat right here. So the virus actually damages Skynet and forces it back into, like, a reset mode. Like, now it's just back to being, not as sophisticated as it once was. The Cyborgs save their comrades, and Tony is just like, well, now Cyberdyne is gonna have Cyberdyne's gonna have to answer for a lot, and maybe we did maybe we actually stopped Judgment Day. And 009 is like, or maybe we just delayed it. So, and Tony's like, yep, this isn't my first rodeo with a dark altered timeline, so I got a lot of them. What can you do? But, now I can prepare with this one with you guys. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much the three-way crossover between Iron Man, Terminator, and Cyborg 009. You guys let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. And once again, I'd like to thank Tom Hibbert for this Patreon request. And like I said before, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 3rd tier. That'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.